Alright, hello, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. On our last lesson, we went all the way from noon, the letter noon, up until the letter tzadik and the final tzadik. So let's recap. We had the letter noon or noon, sound n, and its friend, the final noon, nun sofit, okay? After which we had samech, or just samech, right? Samech. After which we had ein, yeah? Now with the ein, we said that it's important to note that there's a slight difference between the aleph and the ein, but sometimes people will pronounce them the same, so you can do that too. We have a and a, right? A. Hey is still ha. Okay, great. Then we had the letter pei. The sound is p, pa, pi, po, and what is this nikud? Poo, correct, poo. Okay, and without the dot it is f, with dot, p without a dot, f. Perfect. Okay, after that we finished with the letter tzadik, which is like the symbol of greater of with a small branch. Letter tzadik and the final form tzadik sofit, that are like in English T and S put together. Tz, tza, tse, so. Let's try reading a word with this letter. Okay, so we have tza, and then we have a hey, but we said that we first read the letter, then the nikud, but the hey doesn't have a nikud, right? So how do we read a hey without nikud? It's a bit hard. The letters that are silent without any nikud are somewhat getting stuck without any vowels, like aleph, like ein, and like hey. If they are not accompanied by nikud, kind of gets stuck. For example, the aleph would be no sound, would be just no sound. The ein, and the hey, h. It's kind of uncomfortable to say, but notice, fear not, because once you say the h, you keep going, you notice that the next letter is no letter at all. It's actually a vowel. Which vowel is a vav with a dot on top? Which sound does it make? Is it v? No, it's just o. Vowel o. So always when we have a letter that is kind of missing a nikud, we would hope we will find our vowel in the next letter, and in this case we do. Okay, so that's why we read them together, make it easier on ourselves. So we have tza, ho, right? Like o, but with more air because it's a hey. Ho, tza, ho. And what is this? Which letter is this? It's a bit. So is this word tzahob? Tzahob? No. This is not a b sound. What sound is it? This is a v sound. A b would have a dot. This has no dot. So tzahov. Tzahov. Tzahov is yellow. Yellow color. Okay, this was a small recap. Let's keep going. We only have 4 letters left. That's amazing. Okay, so the next letter we have is kuf. Looks like this. Kuf. 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 Yeah, so it could look a little bit like a hey, but this line goes underneath the line. Underneath the line. Could also be drawn like this. Kuf. Now kuf, you may be already able to hear the sound is k, kuf. But didn't we already have a letter with this sound? Why, yes, we did. If we write this letter, which letter is this? This is a chaf. The sound is ch, right? But if we have a dot, the sound is k again. So these 2 letters have the same sound. They can be used interchangeably. Of course, some words will have either. It's not up to you to choose which word has which one. It's a chromatic thing. But the sound is exactly the same. So k, ka, and so on, or ka, and so on, right? Ki, ku. Okay, perfect. Next letter is resh. Sound is r. So it's the closest one in English we have is r, r. But in Hebrew, we have a different sound. It's not r, r, like robot, robot, not robot, but it's robot. So it's not r, it's r. So it's more rolling on your throat. Practice it a little bit. Practice saying r, r, rolling in the back of your throat. R. All right, practice it a bit. You'll get it. Let's try reading this word. Okay, so we have this first letter, resh, r, without anything, okay? We just say r, and we keep going, and we see that the next letter is actually a vowel. Perfect. This letter is o, o. The vav letter with a dot on top, o. So we have ro, and then we have bet with a dot, so it's b, ro, b, and then again o, so ro, bo, and which letter is this? It's a tet, t, 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 ro, bo, t, robot. In Hebrew, robot, ra, rob, robot, robot, robot. Perfect. Okay, next we have shin. Second to last letter is shin. Sort of looks like like a W, right? Something like this, but it's a bit different. Yeah. So shin, S-H, sh, sh. What do we have here? So, and the shin has a dot on the right, but we'll get to it in a sec. So we have she, and then this letter, we just had it, the new one, k, plus the vowel e, ke. So she, ke. Again with the tet, t, sheket. Sheket is quiet or silence. Sheket. Okay. So with the sheen, we have something special. Again, it's a letter that has two different forms. One, the default one, is with a dot on the top right. But sometimes we would have the dot on the left. It's not as common, but it happens. If the dot is on the left, now it is no longer sh, but it's s, like samech. Right? Like samech. S sound. So they make the same sound. Like this, it's s. And like this, it's sh. Perfect. Okay, and the last letter we have is letter taf. Taf. Here it says that there is an option to be sav, but that's not the case, at least not nowadays. So you can disregard that. This is simply the letter taf. Letter taf, sound is T, exactly like tet. Taf. Taf, tet. Both are T. Okay, perfect. So that is all. That is the entire alphabet. We've just learned it together, and you've done a fantastic job on getting everything. Let's just get some of the last nikud that we haven't went through, just to make sure we got everything. Let's pick mem. Let's pick mem. So let's go from right to left as we do. We start by shva. Shva, two dots, means no sound. So it is as if it was like this. This would be read as m. This is also just m. Now with the shva, it's tricky because if it's the first letter that has the shva, let's say, let's just put random letters here, okay? It's not a word, but for the sake of the example, if the mem is the first, if the shva is in the first letter, then usually the sound is e. It's a bit confusing, but bear with me. The sound is e as if it was a tzerei or a segol. But usually, if it's not the first letter, if it's the middle one, then it just means no sound. So this would be read as m, right? Here we have e, m, tsa. This is silent ein. Em, tsa, emtsa. Here em, tsa. So here there is no sound. I could have just the same, not reading anything, and it would have had the same effect. Emtsa. So shva, two dots, means no sound. Perfect. Then we had a kamatz, sort of like a plus. The sound is a, so this is ma. And actually, ma is what? It's the question word, what? Ma. And the next one, patach, just a line. a straight line. La, ma, lama. Why? La, ma. So they make the same effect, right? Either patach or kamatz, both are the sound a. After which we have segol and tzarei, either two dots side by side or two dots side by side with one dot underneath, or three, so three dots, sound e, me, me. Now, we have a few different variations, but I don't want you to get confused over them with kind of taking the shva, which is the two dots that usually make no sound, and pairing them with some of the nikud you already know and love. For example, this kamatz, a, with the two dots. All right? This is still the sound a. So you can disregard this. It's still sometimes written inside, but you can disregard this. There's no reason to pay too much attention to that. So you can just simply focus on this. If you see a combination of nikud that you don't recognize, try to look if on the right you have the shva, and if that's the case, you can disregard it. Here we have a few examples of this, right? So we have the shva with a kamatz called chataf kamatz, and this is ma. Then we have chataf patach, still ma. Then we have chataf segol, me. So just focus on what's on the left of these two dots. Don't get confused. You don't need to remember 5 dots, okay? It's not that complicated. So just focus on what's on the left and you got it. Oops. Okay, then we had the tzarei, me. Oh, we had it. Tzarei and segol, both are me. And we had the chirik, mi, which works exactly the same. This one dot works the same as the letter yud. Still, mi. So you can write both of them, it will still have the same effect, mi. After which, we have this, the kubutz, yeah? 3 dots diagonally, mu. Sound is u, kubutz, mu. And that is all for the dots. Besides that, we have the vavs that can act as a nikud. Vav by itself is just the sound v, normal letter, and it can have some nikud here. Could be va, could be ve, could be v, and if it's the first letter, then that, the shva could also mean this is ve, right? And without anything, it's a v. But if we have a dot on the left or a dot on top, it becomes a vowel. A dot on the left, u, like kubutz, and a dot on top, o. So we have mo and mu. Now something I've yet to tell you is that the vav with a dot on top, mo, we can remove the vav, leave the dot on top, and it's still mo. So if at any point you see a dot between one letter and the other, you can remember that it means that it's a vav, it's an o sound. Yeah, and this is the only time that we have dots on top. So you can remember it like this. You see dot on top, O sound, always. Okay? For example, let's try reading this word. Oh, let's actually do it like this. So we have hey plus a, ha together, ha, and then m. We see no nikud, so we just read it as is, m. But then when we continue, we see this dot on top. So we know, oh, okay. So now we go back to the m and we assign it its vowel, so it's a lot easier to pronounce because we like adding vowels to letters if we have the option. So we have ha, mo, m, o, mo, ha, mo. And what is this very long stick? Correct, it's the final noon. So we have ha-mon, hamon. Hamon could also be written like this, hamon. And hamon means many, a lot. Hamon. All right, perfect. So with that, we conclude the alphabet teachings. Thank you so much for joining me. You've done an amazing job learning all these letters, practicing the different variations. You now have all the information. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna dedicate some time to practice. To now that we learned this stuff, we are able to read all words in Hebrew. We have acquired the tool to read whatever we want in Hebrew. So now it's just about practicing. So because practice makes perfect, we practice and we can read faster and faster, better and better. So we practice and we start with the exciting thing of building our vocabulary. All right, so on the next class, what we're gonna do is practice reading and get some new words into our vocabulary we can start using right away. Thank you so much for joining me and see you next time. Bye bye, להתראות.